both in this community and in our country and in the world for that matter. We ask your blessings upon the armed forces of this country, no matter where they're stationed. We ask it all in your name. Amen.
Mr. Liberty, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone that has cell phones, if they can put it on vibrate or turn it off, please. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to make a slight presentation. It is with great sadness that I must report the City of Waynesville has lost a valued team member, employee, and friend. Junior was an instrumental part of the success that we enjoy and expect at the city. As his presence brought joy and excitement to the room, his absence will be just as noticeable. Many of us are familiar with his wife, Sandy, as she worked for the City of Waynesville for many years. Having the honor to speak for the City of Waynesville and its staff, our thoughts and prayers go out to the many friends and family who are experiencing this loss. We can have a moment of silence, please. All right, they have a slight change to the meeting tonight. We're going to ask for a motion to approve a consent agenda. We need to amend the agenda to include an appointment of a city prosecutor under new business.
Other business.
Motion.
Second. Need a roll call on that or hands?
No, just show of hands.
Show of hands. Thank you. First up. I would like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Mr. France.
Second.
Mr. Davis. Show of hands. Citizen comments. We have any citizen comments this evening? We have some special guests and presentations. First presentation will be from Mr. Dorsey Newcomb. He's with the Sustainable Ozark Partnership, and he would like to give us some information and update on the SOP's activities.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and most importantly, I wanted to come here tonight and to express the Sustainable Ozarks Partnership's appreciation for the support, the long-standing support that the City of Waynesville continues to provide to the work that we do on behalf of the 4th County region. I have provided basically a front and back document that I believe is very good for council members that just kind of highlights the Sustainable Ozarks Partnership's organization, describes our work, our mission, our vision, our strategic goals. And then we have listed about 16 what we consider regional accomplishments or highlights that we wanted to just make mention to you all while we had the opportunity to do so here tonight. And I think the very first bullet that we've got listed there is very telling. It states that the Marine Corps has moved their civilian police academy from California to Fort Leonard, Missouri. And that's really a great thing to have happen for our installation and our community. As a matter of fact, I just think right in our district or in our ward, Councilman France, one of the leaders from that civilian police academy has moved from California to one of the houses in our neighborhood. So it's really a good thing to see things like that happen. And it's really a great example of the kind of thing that we're in pursuit of collectively by virtue of all the other things that we do as a 4th County region, trying to make Fort Leonard Wood and the region the best in class as far as military installation and the support community, a place to live, work, and prosper. So a couple of other things I'd like to highlight as collective successes. Everyone knows that the brand new hospital on Fort Leonard Wood is under construction. All the excavation is going on. That $400 million hospital is probably 3 or 4 years out before it will be completed. But we are continuing to advocate for the funding that has been provided incrementally, and we have just seen the recent appropriations bill that's been released where the next iteration of that funding will hopefully be there. And so that's good news. The money needs to keep flowing. Probably have 2 more increments afterwards of about $150 million increment, and then another $30 million increment. We'll see that hospital. I think everybody recognizes what that means, for the future of Fort Leonard Wood. We were also very proud to be a part of a collaboration that resulted in the school district receiving a federal grant to basically renovate the Parker Fine Arts facility. And a part of that will be to create classrooms that can accommodate new or more pre-kindergarten children curriculum. We have a long waiting list in the district for pre-kindergarten. It's a very popular program. Many of those are military connected. And so this particular Defense Community Infrastructure Program allowed the district to put in for that grant. It was one of 13 projects that was awarded from across the country. There were over 160 applicants. And so it's a good example of not only us having the ability to leverage some resources to make some improvements in our community, but also, again, brings positive attention to Fort Leonard Wood in the region, how we're all working together to accomplish that. We recently had an opportunity, thanks to Senator Blunt, to host General Paul Funk by way of a virtual meeting. General Funk is a TRADOC commanding general, which is a higher headquarters for Fort Leonard Wood. And normally in the month of October, when we're in Washington, D.C., there's a committee of 50 sponsored breakfast where we have a senior military leader come in and talk. And this particular year, obviously, we were not able to go to Washington, D.C., but we kept that invitation intact, and we were allowed to talk to General Funk about his vision for the training and doctrine command and accentuate the many attributes about Fort Leonard Wood and the amount of community support that exists here for Fort Leonard Wood, and how we will embrace any new jobs, missions, functions, or organizations, things like that that the Department of Defense may see fit to bring to Fort Leonard Wood. The last one that I'll mention, although there are several others here, is we are continuing on our what we call our offensive strategy, where we're working with a consulting team out of Washington, D.C. to help us identify strategic opportunities to make the case to attract other DOD, non-DOD, or defense industry investments into Fort Leonard Wood and the Fort County region. So I don't want to take a lot of time. I think John will attest to you that us stand up here and talk to you all night about some of the things that we're doing. But we do certainly appreciate the mayor, support for SOP, John's support. He's involved in quite a few of the meetings and things that we do. We have a great relationship, and we're really proud of that continuing on. And I think both gentlemen know that we're just a phone call away if they need to ask us anything, or if we can be helpful in any way. So we appreciate the support. We think there are lots of great things on the horizon, and it's possible by the collective effort. And when we describe the Sustainable Ozarks Partnership, we are describing the entire Fort County region, not just the 3 full-time paid staff that run the organization. So again, I would be happy to answer any questions on anything that I've talked about or any other topics here tonight or at any other time. But certainly just want to make sure that we came before you, Mayor, and express our appreciation for the support.
Are there any questions from the council?
How many permanent party for this Marine Corps? Did they bring instructors?
Yes. Well, they brought some, but they hired some folks too. So you've got about 30 positions, and they'll probably train a load of about 400 a year. And really what this amounts to is now all Marine law enforcement is being conducted at Fort Leonard Wood. And that's another piece of the puzzle that we think is a bigger picture. There are some other services, I think, that are interested in doing more along those lines. And so it's kind of like in our estimation, going through the grocery store with a shopping cart, putting one thing in your basket at a time. By the time we get to the register, we'll hope it'll be full.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next presentation would be from MPUA. This is going to be to honor Mr. Harold, a retired city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Doyle, thank you. You want us to go up there?
We want pictures, you want.
Okay, you want pictures? Okay. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Doyle, Mr. France. Thank you for having us here today. We wanted to take a special opportunity to recognize someone that you already know is special. But we also want you to know that he had quite an impact across the state as well. So the first thing I'd like to do is say a couple things about hometown utilities, like the hometown utilities that Waynesville has. Then I'll tell you a little bit about the award, and then I'll say some nice things about the individual on my right. So I'm here today on behalf of MPUA, and I'm passing on the congratulations and good wishes of more than 120 of Waynesville's fellow municipal utilities. Most of them in Missouri, but also some in Arkansas, Illinois, and even a few in Mississippi and Nebraska. Years ago, Waynesville's leaders made decisions that were for the long-term benefit of the community and all of its citizens by forming a hometown utility to serve the community. Those benefits are easy to tell about in just a few words, but their impact is huge. Let me just mention three of the biggest benefits, and I'll be very brief. Local control, affordable costs, and reliability. Having local control simply means a community owns its electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities like Waynesville. Decisions about how the utility is run are made by those who live and work in the community, so you and your neighbors have a say about how your utility is run. Your hometown utility creates jobs for the community. It makes money that goes back into your community. Along with that local control goes affordable costs. Local not-for-profit utilities have the power to have put their neighbors first. Keeping costs affordable serves every community's long-term interests, and that's what hometown utilities are all about. Rates are determined by local leaders, and over the long term, rates are lower than those of other utility companies, and that's typically borne out by federal data that we see. So finally, a little bit about reliability. Since ownership is local, service is local too. Office staff, customer service representatives, field crews are local citizens, and they're able to provide the most reliable, responsive services to you, your families, and your neighbors. National statistics show that those response times are fast because safe and reliable service is the topmost concern for the community's utility in every city that provides such services. So the success of your municipal utility depends on having both a supportive community and solid leadership. You provide that solid leadership, and that's clearly evident here in Waynesville. So I'm glad to be here today to share this honor and to recognize one of your own. Tonight I have MPUA's top and most prominent award for a very deserving individual. MPUA established its Alliance Awards in 1999 as a way to honor individuals, utilities, and communities that serve their hometown utility industry with special distinction. Those selected for the awards have been nominated by their peers for this recognition. We typically present these awards at our annual conference, but because of COVID, and I think Mary just said it right, we're sick of COVID, so we had to cancel our conference this year. So to honor this year's award recipients, appropriately we decided to come to you. So tonight's awardee is receiving the John Tom Tinsley Distinguished Service Award. MPUA's Tom Tinsley Distinguished Service Award is awarded to an official of a member system who has provided distinguished service to the Alliance organizations for over 10 years. So tonight's awardee is Bruce Harrell, a former city administrator of the city of Waynesville. Bruce served as your city administrator for 16 years until retirement, and I didn't realize this, but he was also an assistant city administrator at St. Robert for, 3 or 4 years? A couple of years. So during Bruce's tenure here at Waynesville, he led the city through some significant improvements to your utilities, and among them were most notably a major upgrade in the city's wastewater treatment plant, incorporating 3 nearby small systems into Waynesville drinking water system and electric system expansions and upgrades. He also served, and this is an important, as I'm the vice president over government affairs as well in Jeff City and nationally, some of our work. And Bruce served on Missouri's One Call Board. And that was very critical for small to mid-sized utilities like yourself to be able to be represented on that board. And he did that not only for Waynesville, but he kept us abreast statewide among our municipal utilities as to what the impacts might be from one call and what legislative impact there might be. So we were very appreciative of that, and he did that for 8 years, and he was on that board since 2012. He was also chaired, a board member of us since 2004, and he chaired our Joint Municipal Electric Utility Commission, of which you're a member of that. You receive your electric supply through that commission. And he also served on the executive committee of that commission from 2017 to 2020. He also served in the offices of vice chair and member at large. He also served for the Municipal Gas Commission of Missouri, and that was, he served as 4 years as the commission's secretary. So Bruce's distinguished service at Waynesville and on behalf of the Alliance have reflected well on both Waynesville and our organization as well, and earned him the respect and admiration throughout the industry. So tonight it's my pleasure to be here today and present NPUA's 2020 Distinguished Service Award to Bruce Harrell. If you'll help me congratulate him.
Daniel and Jack to come down here. They helped you get where you're at. Sure. And actually, Michael too, because you put a lot of effort in that.
Just like to say, it was an honor and privilege to serve on the NPUA board, and that's an important organization for the city, and I appreciate the support of the mayor and city council to do that, and the utility committee. And very important, like to get our electric there, and they did save us a lot of money when we had to search for an electric provider. The MOPEC pool saved us a lot of money, so I think it's important to serve on that board and for our voice to be heard and to participate actively in that organization, which does a lot of good things for cities. So I really believe in the mission. By the way, this is named after the former city administrator before me. He was very active in helping it get started many years ago, and I think he took me to the first NPUA executive committee meeting and kind of introduced me. So it's kind of a big history in Waynesville to support this organization. It's really cities supporting other cities, you know, getting our utilities at great cost. So thank you, Gil. Thank you.
Come on down, let's get a picture with you guys.
We did a lot of improvements to the utilities. It was a team effort.
So John, I got something to shoot for, right?
Bar pretty high, you.
Thank you very much. No pressure. Thank you.
Hoorah, Bruce.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. We did a lot of improvements to our utilities. It was basically a good team effort.
Background. I need you to go, whoa, there you go. Nice. Okay. One more.
Keep them back that way.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Bruce.
Congratulations. On a little more somber note, the next presentation, Amanda Korn, will you please come forward? And John, could you help me with this? Sure.
So first I'd like to open with the Park Board feels very honored that we are getting to do this. I really wish Sean Wilson could have been here. He did provide me words, which I'm going to read to everybody. But thank you, Karen, for coming. Boom meant the world to everybody. So Sean Wilson wrote, "First, I would like to say I apologize for not being available to present this token of our appreciation for Lawrence Beamer to Karen and his entire family. At the dedication ceremony for Lawrence, I told the family that I would run my first marathon, a whole 26.2 miles, in his honor and carry a flag as a symbol of his commitment and service to this country and this community. Earlier this summer, Lawrence told me that he believed in me and offered to sponsor me on my quest to complete my first marathon. He had watched me transform as I made a commitment to address my health and fitness this year. I told him that I really appreciated his encouragement and willingness to support me, and that it really meant a lot to me. Well, I told his family I was going to run in his honor. Then life happened. The very next day, I was completing a 13-mile training run and broke a bone in my right foot. I was so disappointed because I just made the commitment the day prior. To make a long story short, I was fortunate to have surgery within 5 days of the injury, walking within 7, and riding my bike in 14 days. I proposed to complete the marathon even if I had to walk to keep my promise. It was tough to come off the injury, and just thinking about it, I had my doubts. For a person who, from the time I've known him, was giving, supportive, and an encouragement to others, I felt that enduring this race would be well worth it. So I pray that this flag will serve as a reminder of the inspiration he provided to us all, directly or indirectly. Thank you for sharing your gifts with this community." So, on behalf of everybody, really, the city, the park board, city council members, the VFW, we present the flag that Sean carried in his marathon in honor of Lawrence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's proud of our city
Yes.
and the people.
Yes. He made it very much known, so, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're supposed to stay in the picture.
I was going to say, you're supposed to be in the picture.
You don't have to carry this out.
Thank you.
I was going to say,
Yeah, we can help you with it.
Daniel, would you help with this? It's kind of crazy. I think
Okay, we have a special guest tonight. She's smiling, so she's ready to go. Kelly St. John, and you can introduce your friend.
Yes, of course. That's my colleague, Nathan Nicholas. We are from Lauber Municipal Law, and we thank you for having us here tonight. Really appreciate it. We'll try to keep it short and sweet so you guys don't stay here too late. We are city attorneys for various municipalities in Missouri and Kansas. It is all we do. We specialize in representing cities and their best interests. We also represent special districts and CIDs, things like that. And as I said, we only represent cities, so we don't do divorces on the side, we don't do criminal law on the side, nothing. We are strictly committed to our various cities. We currently represent 48 cities in Missouri, 1 city in Kansas. We're still working on expanding that way. So each attorney has a special niche that we specialize in. So I specialize in litigation and ordinance writing. Mr. Nicholas here specializes in sunshine law. We have another attorney who she specializes in public utilities, city utilities, things like that. Another attorney, she does things for Burma and And, you know, I do expect to watch the next couple of council meetings, just to kind of learn the culture of Waynesville. It's a wonderful city. And actually driving here today, I remembered that I'd been here a couple times. Both my brothers went to basic training out at Fort Leonard Wood. So we have been here. I grew up around Fort Riley, Kansas, so military is life. We also represent Knob Noster, which is the Whiteman Air Force Base. So we, again, just thank you for having us here today, and we hope that we can just help Waynesville grow as much as it wants.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
I've got one, Mayor. I noticed you named your different specialties. Do you have a particular individual real estate background?
Actually, that's me. I do most of the real estate kind of stuff. In terms of that, Joe Lauber, who's our boss, he does a lot of economic development. I do a lot of economic development as well. I used to be general counsel for the Department of Economic Development. So, yeah. Of course, all of us, I mean, real estate is so common that we all do a little bit of real estate, but the tricky real estate stuff, I think.
Where are you headquartered?
We have one office in Lee Summit, and we have another office in Jefferson City.
I'm the Jefferson City.
Yes. And I'm from the Lee Summit office.
Any other questions? John, do you have any questions?
not.
My question is there substantially a cost savings in hiring a attorney group versus a single attorney as far as the retainers and hours?
Yes. So as I stated, we are essentially 7 different attorneys, but you're basically paying for one. You're hiring the firm as a whole, so instead of just having, you know, your one city attorney, we have the capability of speaking to everyone in there, which is phenomenal. You know, so I don't have to worry about having to spend a bunch of time trying to, you know, research one topic, whereas I go next door to one of my colleagues who specializes in that as, you know, as their niche, and then we can get the information to you guys as soon as possible. And I think that's pretty phenomenal. We've had good success with that so far.
I guess what I'm saying is, are we still paying a single attorney retainer, or are we paying a 5 to 7 attorney retainer?
You pay just for the hours that you use. So if I work on an issue, you pay just fine. And unlike a lot of the big firms, we don't charge different. You know, so if Kelly's doing your work, you'll pay the same rate as if I'm doing the work. The other thing I would say is, like, for instance, like sunshine law is my thing. I like to say I literally wrote the book on sunshine law. If you ask an attorney for his book on sunshine law, I wrote that. And the thing about that is Kelly can call me up, and I can give her an answer about, you know, the sunshine law in a matter of a couple minutes, you know, just as long as it takes to explain it. And she doesn't have to do a bunch of research and stuff like that. Because all we do is municipal law, we're up to date on all the municipal things. There's not an issue that you're going to face that we're not familiar with. And so we don't spend a lot of time having to do background research and stuff like that. And because we only represent cities, you know, if there's never going to be a conflict of interest. You never have to pay another attorney to come in and also represent, you know, your city. We do a lot of that actually for other cities that have attorneys that have conflicts. They have to bring us in when they have that kind of conflict. So all of those, you know, are savings.
And just to add on to that, we technically don't require a minimum retainer or anything like that for the month. You know, you can kind of use us as you need us. So I know some firms will kind of charge that there's, you know, the minimum retainer per month. But if you guys don't need us for a month, then, you know, or no one calls or emails, then you don't have, you know, you don't pay us for doing nothing. So I think that's also very important as well.
My brother's an attorney. They have a minimum time, you know. So like, if he calls and he's got a 10-minute call type thing, they have, you know, if they're paid on a 30-minute or something. I mean, to where, but, you know, he's in New York City. I mean, is that how you all do it?
No, Well, we do, our minimum increment is 1/10 of an hour, so that's about 6 minutes. So, you know, most calls are gonna be, you know, 2/10 of an hour, so 10 minutes.
Who is your expert on intergovernmental agreements? Or do you have one?
Well, what kind of intergovernmental agreements?
Well, generally, an intergovernmental agreement.
I don't think we have anybody who's particularly, you know, on that. I represent Knob Noster, is one of my main focuses. So in terms of like, you know, the things you're talking about here, we do a lot of agreements with the Air Force and things like that. We're working on a lot of projects for that. In terms of like city to city, I mean, I think we all kind of do, you know, some of that. Every single one, all 7, are all qualified municipal attorneys. There's not anybody in our firm who I would, you know, mind to have come and fill in for me in one of my cities. But, you know, there's, you know, people know a little bit more about certain things than others.
Experience with water districts, sewer districts, things like that?
I spent most of the day actually writing agreements between a city and the city of Butler has actually 4 water districts in their city. And so I spent all day writing up agreements with water districts.
One of our attorneys in our office, she also worked in she was the head of the utilities department for the City of Independence for a number of years as well. So she's one of our good utility gurus as well.
Thank you for your interest and thank you for coming here. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you guys for having us.
And have a safe drive home.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Business Spotlight. Westside Salon and Boutique. You will get a nicer one than this.
Oh.
I don't read off this. In honor of Westside Salon and Boutique, whereas in 2015, after operating a hair salon only the previous 10 years, Westside Salon and Boutique was introduced to the community. The expansion included unique gifts, items to include clothing, home goods, and whereas, there's a lot of these, whereas Westside Salon and Boutique was focused on growth of their service to the community, always putting the customer first. Westside Salon and Boutique is a popular Waynesville destination for those both locally and those traveling through the city. Whereas Melissa Sheldon, owner and operator of Westside Salon and Boutique, has dedicated a majority of her lifetime to the Waynesville St. Robert Chamber of Commerce. She has served on several chamber committees, most notably as Chamber of Commerce Board President 2019-2020. And whereas hard work and dedication has been rewarded with not only local recognition as the best of the best in Pulaski County and multiple awards from the Chamber of Commerce, but also recognized beyond Pulaski County as a business that is featured in 2 nationally recognized magazines. The City Council of Waynesville extends its most sincere gratitude to Westside Salon and Boutique for its years of service to our community. Thank you. Let me get you a much better one here. Many more years.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Now we can go to work. Boards and commissions. Pork Board.
Well, I got a chance to open my first meeting as chairman Thursday, November 12th at 6:00 p.m. And we had some presentations at our meeting. Miriam from the sports program presented certificates to the sponsors of the previous WSR season to Sinks Pharmacy, Lawrence Beamer, Donco 3 Construction, Harrison Reynolds, VFW Post 3168, Infuse Credit Union, Parabellum, Mid-Missouri Motors, WSR Regional Airport, and Bank of Iberia. Our Park Superintendent reported that he has installed playground equipment and border around the playground in Tiger Park, which will be a great asset to that park, make it more usable. More tables and benches have been received from a grant, and those are in the process of being assembled. The broken board at the spring wall has been repaired. South Benton Street to Pine Street has been paved, including the parking spaces that are in front of the new bathrooms. And the meeting adjourned at 6:16 p.m. And the next scheduled board meeting is Thursday, January 14th at 20:21 at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? I would like to make an appointment to the park board. I'd like a motion for that.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Liberty, Mr. France this time. Roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to planning and zoning. Mr. Davis, just in time.
Oh, we had no meeting, but we do want to appoint Eric Obermuller.
All right, I'd like to make a motion, or I'd like to call for a motion to Mr. France.
Second.
Liberty, Mr. Liberty will second it. Roll call, please.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
Standing committee reports. Utilities, Mr. France.
We had our meeting on November 3rd. I call it to order. There were no citizens' comments. We approved the minutes of our October meeting. Electric, water, wastewater, and the plant and natural gas. Mr. Doyle presented the committee with the 2021 draft budget worksheet, which Councilman Conley made a motion to move forward to the City Council for approval and was seconded by Councilman Wilson. The final approval was unanimous to forward it to this body. Wastewater treatment plant, we've got a draft permit, and as usual, DNR has added some other things that we are going to be having to keep an eye on over time. And right now, we do meet all current standards, but our plant we upgraded several years ago, as you heard, and with increasing scrutiny, we could be looking at some in the future. But bottom line, we put cleaner water into the Ruby Doo than what flows in the Ruby Doo naturally. So we're good at that as of right now, but we're going to have to continue to monitor and get cleaner.
And the trout appreciate it.
I'm sure they do. Natural gas, they installed 2 new services and 3 more new services to install at a later date. The gas department has also helped out the other departments as needed, as well as keeping up with daily work. They did a lot of concrete work and hauling with the sidewalks and our extension of our walking trail. Electric had several work orders. They started back on the reconductor work of the line going up into Bluff Circle. If the residents up there, they see poles that are now about twice as tall as what they had previously, which precluded the asphalt work that needed to be done on Bluff Circle, because all our lines and many of the subcontractors, such as the phone company, the cable company, all their lines were so low that the paving people couldn't get in there. So that's also going to facilitate not only the reconductoring of new wire being going in, and that will work on reliability, but it will also allow us to, in the near future, to work on their street. water and wastewater. They had several work orders, fixed 6 main breaks, installed 2 new meters, and replaced 2 setters, and fixed 4 yards. So our utility people are constantly working to upgrade our utilities that we provide to our citizens. And in light of that, we do have an ordinance for pole attachment with a new internet provider.
Can I have the reading of Bill 2020-21?
Yes, first reading, ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter a franchise and pole attachment agreement with Socket Telecom LLC, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter a franchise and pole attachment agreement with Socket Telecom LLC, fixing an effective date.
Any discussion? Mike?
Second.
No, that's discussion first. Any discussion? Ed, I'll let you be first on this. Need a second on this?
It was
I'm
second.
going to give you the first, because you probably a little bit quicker than Mike. You know, Mike, you can have a second. How's that?
It doesn't bother me.
Let's have a roll call vote.
Let's just get her moving.
Yeah.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Connolly,
Yes.
Councilman France.
Yes.
Thank
That passes. Economic Development, Mr. Farnum.
Yeah, Economic Development met on November 3rd, short meeting like most of them. We discussed the fiscal budget year 2021, showing gain roughly of $24,000. We made a motion to send the budget to the council for approval. Business Spotlight, we just presented the award to Westside Salon Boutique. That's who we had for the month of November. We discussed special events coming up to Christmas on the Square. That is scheduled for December 3rd, and the Christmas Parade, which is scheduled for December 6th. Now, I say they're scheduled, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to happen because of COVID-19 that's raising its ugly head again. So, you know, keep tuned to local radio or your internet.
Or don't keep tuned to it. Have it anyhow.
Anyway, we had no further business, and we adjourned at 5:50. Our next scheduled meeting is December 1st at 5 p.m.
Questions for Mr. Farnum? Police Committee, Mr. Liberty.
We had our meeting on November 5th. We discussed the final budget for fiscal year 2021. Presented to the committee, budget shows a net gain of $24,000, which is a little less than projected. A motion was made to take the budget to council. Motion was seconded, passed. Police updates, discussion on 2 different grants. Department of DWI Saturation Project Grant and HMV Hazardous Motor Vehicle Grant. Also, last night, a lot of the police officers participated in their annual qualification. Next meeting, tentatively scheduled for December 3rd, 2020 at 3:30 p.m.
Any questions for Mr. Liberty? Roads and Ground, Mr. France.
I called the meeting to order on November 12th at 4 p.m. We did have quorum. Street overlay update. Basically, we have completed all paving for the year throughout the city. When we dropped off Tribune, which is the main street in our industrial park, we added 5 more streets that were within inside the city that were scheduled for future actual work. We got them done this year. Tribune will be addressed next year, as well as we will be looking at more streets within the city also. So that being said, our last Roads and Grounds Committee stated that we got the park area mowed up at on Bobbydale, next to the water tower. That's a city lot intended to be a park. Was overgrown. Our folks did a great job, and citizens in that neighborhood really appreciate it. Parking around the square, we were given the documents that were the study that was done by S&T and in regard to enhanced parking around the square, and so that our board members can study up on it before next month's meeting, which will be in January. Final budget was looked at for fiscal year 2021, and it showed the net gain as stated by Councilman Liberty of $24,000. There was a motion made to forward our roads and grounds budget on to City Council for approval. Street Department update. Street Department has been the primary workforce on the sidewalks, extending our trails and overwatching the pavement being done by our contractor. I also was informed by one of our citizens that we have electric in our municipal parking lot. It was put there when the parking lot was done so that we could possibly at some point in time put in electric charging stations for these hybrids as well as electric vehicles. It's sitting in the middle of the parking lot, so I brought up the point that we need to take a look at possibly installing at least two electric charging stations in that municipal parking lot. And with that, we'd have to put up the signage so that someone with a gasser doesn't park in those stalls, so they are accessible to the citizens that have invested in these electrical or hybrid cars. There will be no Roads and Grounds meeting for the month of December. Our next scheduled meeting will be held on January 7th at 4 p.m. All citizens are welcome.
Any questions from Mr. France? Finance, Human Resources Committee, Mr. Liberty.
We conducted our meeting November 12th at 5 p.m. Meeting was called to order, no citizens' comments. The minutes were approved. Committee reviewed bills and approved them for payment. Cash flow and account status, year-to-date budget review. As of November 1st, 2020, the city has completed 83% of its fiscal year revenue. Revenue is tracking at 76% with expenses at 77%. City bank accounts have $1.37 million in restricted, $1.67 million in reserve funds, and $1.46 million in unrestricted available funds. FY 2021 budget and ordinance, we discussed that. Mr. Doyle presented that to the committee. Final budget and ordinance adopting fiscal year 2020 budget approved to forward to the City Council. Also ordinance amended, ordinance number 2191 regarding payout of accrued leave. Ordinance adopting 2021 salary schedule was presented by Mr. Doyle and approved by the committee to move on to the full council. Other business, committee approved proposal from Gilmore Bell to complete city's arbitrage calculation and rebate analysis. Committee forwarded ordinance amending municipal code regarding the qualifications city judge to city council for approval. This ordinance allows the judge to live anywhere within established boundaries of Pulaski County. The committee will not meet in December unless an emergency need arises. Committee went into closed session, back in open session, adjourned at 17:42. Next meeting, January 14th, 2021.
Thank you. Questions? Let's go on to Bill 2020-22. Reading, please.
First reading, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2191 regarding payout of accrued leave, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2191 regarding payout of accrued leave, fixing an effective date.
Any discussion? Seek a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Liberty?
Second.
Mr. Davis? Roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
That passes. Bill 2020-23, reading please.
First reading an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget, fixing an effective date, repealing conflicting ordinances. An ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget, fixing an effective date, repealing conflicting ordinances.
Discussion? Motion?
Motion. Second.
Wait a minute. Mr. Davis or
It was Mr. Davis did.
Mr. Davis?
Second.
Which one? France? Mike. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bill 2020-24, reading please.
First reading an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 salary schedule and personnel manning chart, repealing conflicting ordinances, fixing an effective date. Second reading an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 salary schedule and personnel manning chart, repealing conflicting ordinances, fixing an effective date.
Discussion? Motion?
Yeah.
Mr. Rice. Second? Ed? Roll call, please.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
That
Mayor, I
passes.
do want to make a comment. Some of these people on this council need to move a little quicker on making motions, because some of us are just fast on the draw.
We'll keep that in mind. Bill 2020-24, reading please.
Yep,
Oh, we just did that one.
yep.
25.
We're on the airport.
Well, not at 25 yet, that goes somewhere else. Waynesville, St. Robert Airport, Mr. Doyle.
The meeting was held October 27th, 3 o'clock. Budget was years 83% complete, revenue tracking at 77% with the expenditures tracking around 84%. Fuel sales are up even though there was a period of time in which the runway was closed for approximately a week. The DOD interplanement agreement contract got pushed back to January, so we should know more in January about that agreement and whether it was approved. Contour has reached out to the stakeholders and other agencies about Fort Wood travel adjustments to better connect soldiers to the key locations. By doing that, there's been some commercial flights in and out of the fort. Contour kind of pulled their flights through the holiday block leave period and readjusted those flights throughout the early spring to maybe better accommodate weekend travel. Like I said, due to COVID, due to travel restrictions, and the commercial option now that is temporarily available. So we thought that was a good idea to add an extra flight on the weekend to hopefully increase employments through the next year. When demand is higher and COVID is less. SOP is working with St. Robert and Waynesville to expend some additional MoDOT grant fundings, creating a plan to put these funds into use, covering marketing expenses. We received partial funds for the airport through the CARES Act, the amount of $8,941. This covered the cost for a TV at the passenger terminal, waiting area, nozzle for a de-icer, air compressor, and mower for the airport. The AEAS semi-annual report was submitted on time, which was October 15th. The parallel taxiway project's been completed and the final invoice for retainage has been submitted. The compliance and safety inspection report completed by MoDOT revealed taxi lane markings between the T-hangars are faded and several cracks were noted in the pavement between the T-hangars that will need to be repaired. There were also options discussed at that meeting for a de-icer truck to service larger aircraft, much larger aircraft, possibly commercial aircraft. But through these discussions, they were actually looking at options and possibly purchasing one, but I'm not sure that they found the need to purchase one for the airport right now because of the runway constraints at that airport and the possibility of landing there during ice or icing times. They would probably reroute to Springfield. The meeting was adjourned, and the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, November 24th at St. Robert's, 3 o'clock.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes. What are they doing in regard to allowing our citizens from the communities that are not military getting on post to fly?
Okay, so
Are we still restricted?
the restrictions were removed temporarily. The general order of Fort Wood is right now pretty well full access. I know that one of the issues out there was providing access to the airport. If you land out there and you don't have access off the post or have set up arrangements to leave post, when General Order number 2 was in effect, and 3, I believe, there was not taxi service on Fort Wood. That has all been removed, and we have taxi service allowed out. They're not allowed to stage on the post, but they're allowed to service the post if there's a call. So they're not going to be, lining up at the PX, but they could sit outside the gate, and when there is a service call on the post for that. So we have transportation accommodations made for anybody that would be flying in or needing a ride out. And the gates were open, and we hope it stays like that. Now, COVID fully controls that. And with the influx of COVID or increased cases in the county or on Fort Wood, another general order could come out and tomorrow, and everything I tell you now is not right. They could shut down access to the fort again.
So non-military people can now access the airport and fly.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Other business? Bill 2020-25. Reading, please.
First reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville regarding qualifications of municipal judge, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville regarding qualifications of municipal judge, fixing an effective date.
Discussion? Motion?
Motion.
Mr. Liberty? Mr. Rice? Roll call?
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes. We do have an appointment for Mr. Henry Surkamp for city prosecutor. John, would you kind of fill us in on that?
So, as we are aware that Mr. Muxlow is soon to retire from the city as our city prosecutor, we have went through the process of interviewing for that position in the city. That position is appointed by your mayor and approved by this council. We interviewed, a few people. We have a few positions open, and anyway, Henry, I think, is here. Yes, this is Mr. Henry Surkamp, and this is, I think, the appointee that the mayor has brought before the council, and I don't think he would mind if you all have any questions to ask him, but this is the process. Go ahead.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a St. Louis boy. I've been working for the Placer County Prosecutor's Office for the last year and a half. I've been living down here. I was a defense attorney in Rolla for a couple years before that. I'm a graduate of Drake Law School out of Des Moines, Iowa. I've lived in St. Robert since about last April. If I take the position, I look forward to continuing working with the great law enforcement we have here in the Waynesville community, like in the Walton County Prosecutor's Office, and being part of what I consider a great reform that I'm hearing.
Any other questions? Motion? Mr. Liberty?
Second.
Mr. France? No, Mr. Farnum? Roll call?
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman France.
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes. Mr. Doyle, City Administrator.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
So the city administrator's report's kind of a combination of two reports. It'll be the kind of year-end review because there will possibly not be a meeting in December, as well as our city administrator's report. As usual, most of the things in the city administrator report has already been covered by the council. The 2021 final budget obviously has been discussed and passed. The city attorney, city prosecutor, municipal judge, you guys have heard from obviously a possibility on the city attorney. The appointment of the prosecutor and municipal judge is still ongoing. The city right now has been very busy with our department supervisors completing employee evaluations the last few months, or the last month for sure, and hopefully we'll have that completed by no later than probably mid-month December. Project updates, something very proud of is the Tiger Park. Tiger Park equipment has been installed and nearly complete, placing the pea gravel around that equipment, and it's turned out to be a very nice project, very nice upgrade to that community. Bluff Circle Utilities been discussed as well. That has been an incredibly fast-paced project, but has turned out very well. Our electric department has worked very, very hard on that. The park restroom has been a collective effort of all departments. I've seen building department, street department, sewer, water guys. It's incredible to watch everybody come together collectively to finish a project, and it was a project set forth by administration previous to me and is completed by this administration and myself, and I think the completion of that project, we have made the previous administration proud if they would drive by and look at it, because it turned out very, very nice, and I hope it was what they were looking for or they had in their mind when they thought that process up or project up. Street paving, like I said, you've heard that. We've paved several streets that weren't on the list. However, with construction going on in the industrial park, as Mike said, we shifted those funds to pave that street next year and took those funds from this year and put in the streets that were on next year's schedule. I just want to go through a brief 2020 year-end review because it has been a year and we're all ready to see something else, right? So, but it didn't start off that way. You guys, honestly, you know, when I got here, I've been here, I think I started a year ago in October. And honestly, I had a lot of fun working with Bruce, who you guys see again tonight. And we had a lot of good days, and we got a lot of good days in front of us, okay? We've struggled in the last month with a lot of things. We've lost friends, we've lost teammates, and that's hard to process, and it's hard to move forward without them, okay? You lose experience, you lose dedication, but you know, in 2020, we've seen some new faces. We have a new mayor, Jerry Brown, who was elected in a unique June 2nd election due to COVID. So, you know, I think, well, we can blame him, right? He's the one that brought it in. No, because after that, you know, we have a city administrator who came in, right? Well, maybe it's me. We also have another man we could possibly blame, sitting next to you, Clarence. Rob Rice came in. So somebody has brought COVID here, right? But honestly, we all took this position not knowing or expecting what was in front of us, okay? Immediately in front of us, and how hard that was going to be to deal with. Some of the challenges that I name in this report would be like the transition of leadership. That's not a challenge, that was a success. That was a success of this city, this council, previous administration. That transition of leadership was nearly seamless. Has it been perfect? No. Have I made every right decision? No, I made mistakes. But I was brought on in time to, I will tell you, I'm very, very proud of the transition of leadership that we have shown at this city, because we haven't missed a step. The projects that we say we completed, it's incredible. Look at the roads we paved. Look at the park projects. Look at the things that we did. No hesitation. That went on almost seamless. So I'm very proud of that. So that was a challenge, but that was a challenge that we can put in the win column for the city of Waynesville. COVID-19, unexpected. You know, it's a global pandemic that I think has been challenging to every community. We address it daily. We are experienced with it. Right now, what was probably early on panic is now just experience, calmness, and we just plan through it. We deal with it on a nearly a daily basis. Through that, we were able to implement several programs for our residents. Okay, these programs were like the utility relief program. We removed our shutoffs. We offered our citizens the opportunity to maintain, you know, the essential utilities necessary for a pandemic. That's a big step. That's a big commitment. And, you know, we stood by our community when they needed us. And that is something I think the foresight of that came from the previous administration, and we've kept that word. Okay, we've not backed up. We temporarily removed or eliminated the 3% online convenience fees, and we did that so we could still provide contactless service to this community and not charge them for that. That's a huge commitment, and that's a commitment that you guys stood by. Okay. City Hall upgrades. We provided upgrades to ensure social distancing could be had not only from the worker standpoint, but also from our citizen standpoint. Limited access to City Hall, you know, to where crowds couldn't join and things like that. We've experienced split shift employment, where we would take half our shift here, half our shift there, and we would try to just guarantee that, you know, the succession of government was maintained. And honestly, our plans and all the thought and effort and work that every one of you guys put into this, it's working. We've not shut our doors a day. We've not, you know, not been able to answer the call. We've been there on every one. So your guys' plans are working, and this is proof of it. So now I want to talk about some accomplishments in 2020. Very few of these I can take credit for. Most all of you can. The VW grant dump truck was a grant that was received, or I should say was applied for, prior to really me being, quote, on board. And it was, it led, basically, culmination led to the purchase of what I think may be the first tandem axle dump truck the city has ever owned, which is, I mean, that's incredible. So very, very proud of that. Park restroom walking trail extension. This was another grant the city was selected for. Go down there and look at it. Anybody not proud of that? It turned out to be a very nice addition to the park. Okay. We had a DNR recycling grant. We received a grant for recycling totes that we distribute to our citizens, even if they have one that's no good or dilapidated or torn up, we use that. But we received several of those. You guys went through a sanitation service agreement. This has been, I'm just going to be honest, I had about 2 weeks of phone calls and it's starting to work. So when we did that transition in September, 2 weeks phone calls. After that, it works. No more phone calls. That's a success. That's an accomplishment. Okay? Property investments. We had an industrial park expansion property we was looking at. We did Westgate commercial subdivision. We got that. We've purchased properties to expand our utility systems. Those are all opportunities that I'm excited to make work. That's an accomplishment for this city. Okay? Medical marijuana. Medical marijuana was, you guys were on the front edge of this the whole time. You guys were leading the charge of medical marijuana the entire time medical marijuana was being discussed in this state. Okay? You were the first to pass ordinances. You were the first to say, hey, it's passed, we want you in our community. And last December/January, we got the notification that as a city, you guys had an applicant that applied for a license in your city and was approved. And that's an accomplishment. Drive over there, look at it. It's an incredible industry coming to the city, and you guys have stood up and owned it the whole time. And I think that is a huge accomplishment for 2020. You guys have worked very, very hard to do that, and should be proud of it. And looking forward, just want to say, you know, the new faces with the old. I'm pointing at you, Mike, when I say that.
I understand.
You've seen that. But I want to remain, we remain dedicated to providing a superior level of service to our customers and residents. Our goals in 2021 include expansion of utility systems, improved customer service, and increased customer interface utilizing proposed technological advances planned by the city. The city will strive to exceed the expectations of the community and continue to be a valued partner in the coveted relationships established by our previous and current administrations. The city plans to continue the down-home service we have all grown accustomed to while planning and implementing technical advances increasing the availability and serviceability to all customers. And I want to stand by that statement because that is something that we pride ourselves in every day, and we may fall short of that, but it's not intentional and it won't happen tomorrow. Okay? I want to end with some upcoming events. Obviously, we got Thanksgiving, November 26th. Enjoy, spend that with family. December 3rd, Christmas on the Square, downtown Waynesville. If that is still an event, I will be going for sure. I hope to see you guys there. December 6th, I did get confirmation, I called on this before I put it out there, that the Kiwanis Club of Pulaski County Christmas Parade, 2 o'clock, will be happening.
Yay. Thanks for the brief report, John. Yeah. Council comments. Let's start with Mr. France.
Well, I would tell you that I'm extremely proud of all our utility departments. The reconductoring work, the building of new lines to enhance reliability by our electric department is second to none. Our water, sewer department has done yeoman's work, and they do this 24 hours a day. I mean, water lines break, it doesn't matter when it happens. Electric's out, it doesn't matter. We have the people that are on site, and they get to work fast. And some of the work that we've been doing over the past few years has really enhanced the reliability to where we're not having near the service calls that we used to get. So I'm very pleased with all those folks, our gas department also, because quite honestly, all our utility people, they are able to cross lines with very little notice. I mean, it's all hands on deck when we have an issue. So I'm very appreciative of that. The holidays are becoming a little more concerning in that with the COVID and the building of it. I was over at the hospital in Rolla, and they are actually full right now. So it's kind of, I've never heard of it being full till today. So it is about, and it is around us. So be mindful of who you're around and where you're going. Please be safe during these holidays, and I look forward to seeing you at the Christmas parade and at Christmas on the Square. That's from the old guy.
The next old guy.
He's older.
Ancient.
You done, Mike?
I am done, sir.
Okay, well, this younger guy, you left out the building department and the city hall staffs, which all do great.
That lived something for
I mean,
you.
I was amazed on that sidewalk project. That last section, I figured it would take them a couple of weeks to get, it was done in like 2 days. And city hall staff, what can we say? Christmas, Thanksgiving are on us. COVID has affected, I think, probably all of us. We all had friends or family or people we knew that are no longer with us or are sick, or your plans change. I had planned to have Thanksgiving dinner in Independence with my daughter and her family. First time in several years we would have been together. Well, little one went to school one day, and one of the adults, either an aide or a teacher, had come down with COVID, so he was quarantined for 2 weeks, which will kill Thanksgiving for us. So we'll just sit at home and eat a hamburger probably. But I wish all of you and all the people out there happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and 2020 is almost in the rearview mirror. 2021's got to be better.
Mr. Liberty.
Start off with, thank you to all the city employees. And happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for. I know some of us may not think that, but you think hard and long about it, you will realize. Merry Christmas, and I thank the gentleman, our new prosecutor. Thank you, welcome aboard, and thank you both again for coming here and expressing your interest in being our attorney.
The youngest one here.
I just want to thank Mr. Doyle for his... Oh, he's probably... I just want to thank Mr. Doyle for his great recap on the city. I think we've got a great city. Glad to live here, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Mr. Davis.
All right, I'm gonna, if y'all can't tell by the size of me, I like to eat. So what I'm gonna do is tell y'all one of my favorite Thanksgiving leftover tips. Take your turkey, chop it up, mix it in your cream cheese, and make jalapeno poppers out of it. It's delicious.
I'll be over.
Maybe that's why you got what I got.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate, everybody have a great Thanksgiving, a great Christmas, and let's hope 2021 is a lot better than 2020.
It will be.
I do have an alibi on John.
Old guy, he forgot.
I do have CRS. Can't remember,
Yeah.
But our we bought a water system a little over 18 months ago up in Northern Heights or so. And we are almost online to where we can push water to every resident on that hill. We had a part that came in that wasn't functioning on our control panel, and so soon that will be able to push. We also put in a fire hydrant to that neighborhood, which they've never had for over 200 plus houses. So, we forgot that report. We're close. We'll be there shortly.
Thanks for the amendment.
Very good.
I would like to thank those who have volunteered to serve the city in various boards, past, present, and future. A special thanks goes out tonight to our new telecommunications specialist, Miriam Jones, for solving a year-long problem with the city's phone system with my help, because I tripped over that cord, knocked out the internet, brought everybody in there to get it fixed.